The very last portion to 10.1 with inheritance here is the idea of the superclasses constructor. We're, I think, familiar now with the idea of the constructor, so I don't want to beat this one to death too substantially. What has to happen in order for you to have a subclass and a superclass is for every time we create an instance of an object of a subclass, we also have to first create an instance of the superclass. So the code listing here, this is 10.5 or 10-5, and this is 621, just shows you how that works in Java. This is important for us as developers to understand when we really work with projects that have constraints. And again, the scale of the projects that we put together really doesn't stress our virtual machines any, right? So even if we were to do a whole bunch of sub and superclass object instantiations in Replit, it really wouldn't tax that little virtual core we have nearly at all. This is important though when we are running, in a live environment where overhead, where resources are going to be, more precious than they are to us just now. So do be aware that here, again, this is not on page 611. The new version of the Bookshelf app keeps refreshing the pages. It's not refreshing. It's the opposite of refreshing. So like we see here, it's code listing 10-5. And again, this is on page 621. If we are going to have a superclass, and if we are going to have a subclass, and if we are going to instantiate an object of that subclass. So here's on line number 10 on code listing 10-7, subclass object new subclass, right? So what this is saying is we're going to create an object of the subclass class, and it's going to be a new one of those. And you'll notice there's no arguments in that constructor. This is the program output. This is the superclass constructor before the subclass constructor gets called. So this is more for you to be aware of than it is going to be necessary or even overtly plain for you to see in the way that Java executes. But it's been doing this whole while, is creating these superclass objects before we have an opportunity to call these subclasses. And we'll see that with 10. I believe it's 10.6. It is the object class that we've been relying on all this time. So that's isn't that final? The very final part for inheritance is, look, those superclasses also have a constructor. Even if they're no argument constructors, they are called before our subclasses can be generated.